Mark,
We did it.
see, finally, you're not scared. You jump whenever I say your
It's
name.
over. It's done. The terror's behind us.
The terror is behind us, yes. But we're going to talk about the roundup, the Night's End, and we're going to talk about night terrors, the entire saga, and we're going to do it with some some friends of ours, and we will do all of that right after we take a look at this. So, welcome to our special live edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. I am Paul. He is my
Mark,
better half, Mark. And we are talking about what was that? No,
definitely not the better actor. I'm your jaded reflection.
I'm like he's my partner in crime. Um, before we get started, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Do all those good things because we're going to be talking about night terrors. We're going to give away some things. You have time before we get to all of the videos, and we pick who's going to get that entire stack of the night terrors saga. But before we go any further, let's bring in our guests. First, I just want to warn you: do not adjust your YouTube. This is a clean-shaven TM Nerdy.
What is up?
What's
I
up?
don't know why I expected to guess that key intro. So I was like suspecting. Ooh,
Yeah,
it's like, wait, what? Shit.
welcome,
Something's off.
welcome, welcome to At Week's Middle.
Yeah.
That week's middle. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Thanks.
I'm pumped to talk some night terrors.
Nice, nice. We also have our good friend Evil Mike from Evil's Comics. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, everybody.
What is happening? Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate that. And then we have our good friend as well, Cliff on Comics. Cliff, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So, before we get started, let's jump out into the chat, see who we have out there. We have Las Cruces saying hello from just almost 3 hours ago. We have TM Nerdy checking in. He only had Las Cruces to say hello to at that time, so he didn't say hello to everybody. Brother John, what's going on? We appreciate you being here. Cliff on Comics as well. You got a new subscriber as well. Cliff Comics. So we are saying good night, terrors.
Yes.
And you also have a new sub as well.
Yay!
So let's start talking about night terrors. Let's talk about. We're going to wrap up night terrors first. So we're going to talk about Night's End. First of all, I'm assuming that all of you have read it. Let's just kind of do a real quick go around and let's give a ranking as to how you would wrap up Night's End. Mark, we'll start with you. Give it a rating.
I think it's solid. I give it about a yellow green, around
Okay.
7.
Okay. TM.
Yeah, it was good. There was some things like I know you've heard me and Mike talking backstage about things that we didn't like about the book, so I'd have to say it would be a solid yellow.
Okay. Mike.
Is this the ranking for the overall event or just this issue?
Just the last
Just
issue
this
right now. We'll get to
issue.
the overall event in just a second.
I'm going to go, yellow. I'm going to say 7.
Okay. Cliff.
This is why I love Mike. I'm also at yellow 7.
Okay. I'm gonna give it an 8 for me.
Woo!
So
You had to go one up, huh? I see.
I really enjoy. 8 rings. 8 rings out of 10. So
what brought it up? What in your mind? What was the defining moment to make it an 8?
I love the resolution of all of the different storylines that came up. I love the art. We've talked about the art. We talked about Howard Porter's art in the very beginning of all of this as well. I think it does a really good job of capturing the horror of a lot of these different things. He's not the same artist he was when he was on
Justice
JLA
League?
with Grant Morrison, definitely not. And that's partly because of some things that he went through. But I also, one of the things that and this may or may not be fair, but one of the things I tend to judge a summer or an event by is, does it get me stoked for the next one? And this definitely gets me stoked with Dr. Hate, with Amanda Waller, with with Beast World. I am ready for all of these type things. So that's why to me,
Agree.
I am so annoyed with the name Dr. Hate. I'm 50-50 on the continuation of the Amanda Waller storyline, because it comes from the end of Dark Crisis, which only is like a festering hole of anger for me.
It comes way before then, though. It goes all the way
Yeah,
back
it
to
comes
that
way
last,
before
way,
then.
way
We're
before
talking
then.
about
That
future
last
state.
This is
she
the
went to
last
Earth
Suicide
3.
Squad
She
run.
went. Yeah, she's been going for a
Yeah.
That was
while.
the whole fun.
I actually
That was the
like
whole
the
fun
Earth.
of the Suicide Squad.
I like the Earth 3 War. No, actually, no. Her actual storyline is
love it.
I'm not upset about the specific dropping the mic but poorly moment of Dark Crisis with her and her anti-Justice League, and I was like, oh my god, we're doing this again and more with her.
That was like the best part of the event for me. I'm
Me
like,
too.
I've been
I
waiting
got
for them to show
moist.
this woman, and I've been waiting for them to show her team that she assembled in Suicide Squad for months and months, and there it was. It
Yeah.
was
As soon as she got the base on her
Yeah.
3, man, I was so pumped. And then
Over.
when we got Primer and she showed us what she was gonna do, I was like, ooh,
And we saw the light from the Young Justice cartoon. It was like, there were just so many good things, I thought.
But again, it's like poor placement, right? Like, you gave me this thing, this dark. I know you guys don't agree, but you got to understand, I was
No,
so
that's fine.
focused on how dare you take this garbage Crisis and then add on Infinite Earths to the end of it, only so that I could roll in real life before I hit the grave. Like, I was, oh my god, like I was just so upset. And people are like, why are you so upset? I was like, because they had to go that extra mile and connect it to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it was just terrible. And poor Williamson, like, I was mad at him, but clearly editorial did nothing. He was like explaining everything that was going on Twitter, like week after week, and I was like, wow, it would have been great if this just.
I'm going to stop you right there. It's X now.
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares? All right. I was gonna say, do you have any of those billions of dollars? You don't. So who freaking cares?
Right.
You know. It's
One of the reason why this was elevated to an 8 for me too is because I really loved the for now anyway, the conclusion of Dead Man's story.
That was cool. Yeah, and I like how it's like, oh, let's put Sandman to rest, but he's got a series coming.
Well, we don't know how that's gonna work out. I'm sure that'll have
That's one of the reasons why I gave it like a yellow. That was one part I was just like, okay, so he has the stone. That's how he's going to be having his own series in the future and that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're going to put you back to rest. I was like, what? No, don't put him back to rest. I want to buy his comic. His comic's coming out, but they're going to figure something out.
Right.
Hey, Steven. I'm not gonna say that part like irked me or whatever. Hey, Chris. I'm gonna say it confused me more than anything, because he was one of the best parts of this event, was getting more Wesley Dodds, Sandman, and I mentioned this before, the way his appearance, the zombified, Sandman, I thought that was dope as hell. But when he did go back in the ground, that kind of it just brought up questions, but that didn't bring the book down. For me, it was the art. I love the art of the whole event, and I'm not saying this issue had bad art, but it was like a different style in this issue compared to all the other issues.
Yeah, First
Like,
Blood and Night's End have the same artist, then the middle four have the same artist.
yeah, and this one was like, I want to say it was like, it felt more sporadic, and I guess it was supposed to be like that, right? The nightmares were coming to Earth, and they were in the reality kind of thing. But I went back and compared like the first issue to the last issue, and same artist, but it's just like, I don't know, it looks more, I don't know how to put it, like maybe I could go that route. Unrefined is how I'd put it. But it's not that it was bad art, it was just that, like, I kind of was hoping that we get, maybe the same
Isn't
style
Howard
as.
Porter the artist who was in an accident or something and had to retrain himself how to draw all over
Yes.
again? That's
He
why his art
Yes.
is different.
he cut
But
a
there's
tendon in his hand, which is why his art does not look anything like like it
Before.
did when he was with Grant Morrison when doing the
Yeah.
JLA. It looks totally different.
It's like a brand new artist now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
very interesting.
usually what
All
we
right, I'm
do,
like
if
double
you guys
check.
have been watching deep dives, usually what we do is Mark is very good at taking us through the story. So,
So we're gonna
Well-
let Mike do it this time.
Oh yeah. Damn.
Evil
On the
Mike,
spot.
the CBC nominated comic book reviewer.
See,
Exactly.
now you're gonna find out I'm all fake. Hold on, because
TM.
all right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So I had to remember where we start off. Okay. So we do start off this series with a whole new family, and it's basically setting up that you know that insomnia one that that nightmares are coming into the real world. It's a little girl and her family. She's starting to see superheroes as a scary thing. And that's kind of like the whole motif of the book. It's in the beginning of the book, it's at the end of the book. It's kind of what he wanted. We find out that that's what he wanted all along, was the Justice League, made him realize his worst nightmare, him losing his family, and then on top of that, it was the heroes that killed his family. So all in all, that's all he wanted, from this whole event, was for the whole world to witness the same thing. They wanted, I don't know how that works, but sure. So that's where the book starts out. But as far as I don't know, where the rest of the book is kind of crazy, because
Well, yeah, I
basically
was about to
it's
say,
like,
this is why the book is a 7 to me, because it starts out with an actual pacing, with it showing this little girl being like the mechanism they use to show that the nightmares are here. And I thought it was cool that the nightmares that she sees are all the big nightmares that were featured in each of the individual tie-ins. You had
man who
Black Adam's
smiles.
bad self, Superman's bad self, the bat with the gun in his head. But then we just get to mayhem. We get to just chaotic mayhem. We get to see people and places all over, cut here, cut there, cut here. Everyone's just fighting and classic villain monologue and Insomnia tempting Boston with, now that I've got what I wanted, I promise you I'd give you what you want. Here's your family back. And Boston's like, oh, thanks. This ain't what I want. This is what I used to want. I want to, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't real, blah, blah, blah. Back to the mayhem. And it's just chaotic mayhem. It's not very focused mayhem.
No.
There's not like a story being told through the fight. You're just watching an onslaught everywhere, back and forth. And you really just keep going back to that, then back to Dead Man and Insomnia, just blah blah and back and forth until you get a cool little what was his name, Sentry moment, where he just rips Boston down the middle, and you have Batman and them going back to Dr. Destiny's body to see what they can do to get their hands on the stone, because now it's in his body or something. And
We do get that. We do get that one part when Insomnia was like, "Guess what, Dead Man? You won. You did exactly what I wanted you to do. So here's your prize." And he actually gives Dead Man, what he
His
believes
family.
he wants. Yeah, and he gives him his family, and that's kind of like during the whole battle that's going on. It's like, and that's supposed to be like in a whole nother place and time, because all the heroes are fighting all the crazy nightmares.
And that was another thing, because like we're all here on the real world. That was like a big
Mhm.
point of what they're trying to do, is get everyone to the real world, take the nightmares out of that realm and put them in the real world. But then they're just kind of bouncing between realms, places. That part kind of just threw me off. So that's why I said, like, all the action and everything through like this big final battle is real chaotic. It's not really focused enough.
This is why it couldn't reach an 8 for me, because all this jumping around reminded me of the end of Dark Crisis.
Yeah,
You know, look, we brought Dr. Light. She's amazing, right? Yeah, no, don't see her again. Oh, look, Black Adam shared his power with everybody. Oh, look over here. Nightwing's having the final battle with Deathstroke, and it's lame, and I'm supposed to be excited. But this was actually better. This was better.
The Superman catch. Enough said.
No, because it's unearned. It's beautiful artwork. The artwork is gorgeous, but it's so unearned. I could care less. You know, like John is kneeling there, like I did it. I bought my friend's time, and it was like, and it's meaningless. His dad shows up. The two of them start beating up Doomsday together. There's nothing. That
That
wasn't.
moment was so hype. That moment was so hype.
Yeah,
No,
there
it
was.
was garbage. It
loved
is
it.
it is a garbage image of Supergirl giving her life to save Superman. That's all it is. That still makes me cry and it's still amazing. And this was like,
It
wow,
does.
the artwork's beautiful. If only the writing was the cover. But that said, even though this is a jumping around mess, at least the story is so much more cohesive, you know. And I'm giving Williamson back some points here. He's earning some points back with me because, like, at least I could still follow the story. You know, thank you, Dagger. Someone agrees with me. Good Lord. What
Kind
if I'm ever on oh my god,
Are we doing Dark Crisis, Pen?
what's his name with the questions? Lee.
Oh, Whack Comics.
If
Whack
I'm
Comics.
ever on Watt Comics, you better believe I'm destroying some Dark Crisis.
All right, so back to this, right? So we got Dead Man Insomnia, and they're basically like, you know, he's giving him his gift. He's got his family. You know, like Mark had mentioned, there's this moment where Insomnia is like, you know, Dead Man's like, oh, no, I don't want my family. That's not what I want. And they start fighting. Insomnia rips him in half. You know, at this point, Dead Man's dead. We go back to what's really going on, and basically all the heroes are in front of the Hall of Justice. It's kind of weird because at one point they go inside the Hall of Justice, but they make it seem like it's a journey, but yet they were like right out front. But anyways, that they're fighting all the nightmares that appeared on the outside. After that, basically they give the Dream Stone to, you know, Wesley Dodds, and it's kind of like his what do you want to call it, the holy grail moment, you know, basically, because they finally have something that can fight the Nightmare Stone. And
That realization right after that is where we get to where it realizes that to shut down the Nightmare Stone it requires a sacrifice, and that's where Boston
oh yeah,
offers himself up, and he goes charging into it. And Wesley tells him we can find in other ways. Like, it's fine, I know what I want. And he goes in and makes a comment that he it's time for a new adventure. And we see
had my
where,
time in
where
the
it
light.
takes him. It legit takes him back to his family, not a nightmare version presented to him or offered to him by Insomnia, but it looks like he had like legitimately crossed over for a minute. And he's there with his family, and you turn the page, and all of a sudden, like, we missed you, and they go all Insomnia eyes, and they shred him. They start shredding him, and it just turns into a bed of fire around him. Like, yo, what just happened to Boston?
No, that was Insomnia.
No, that was Insomnia.
That's Insomnia.
Yeah,
Insomnia,
he thinks he has his family again. And
Yeah,
when
he
turns
thinks he
around,
finds,
it's his family that has all this.
Boston the whole time,
and he's being dragged. He's being dragged to hell. That yeah, and that was his.
that's
gift.
that's what I thought of it too. Is like he's going to hell and that, and this is his hell. Is his family turning into these demon creatures and tearing him apart.
No, but Boston, it did look like because they do the whole light transition and everything. He's like, "F you to Harry Kushner." You know, he was all like,
Right.
"I've had my time in the light."
Yeah,
so
it does
basically,
fade into it.
like
Yeah,
a bright light.
It does fade into it. But
So
it's
basically, at
like
the end of
Boston goes away into the light, and then it fades out towards Insomnia, where he gets eaten.
he makes that ultimate sacrifice, and that's how they ultimately defeat Insomnia. They're able to, like, technically, I don't know what they did because he already killed his body. Like, they just took him out of the nightmare world. I don't know physically. I don't know what what
He's
Well,
trapped in the stone now. That's all they did.
they put him back
Yeah,
in the
it's
stone.
just like how Boston is crossing over to, like, let's say heaven. That's why the bright lights is saying heaven without saying heaven. And then when Boston was taking him, he says, "You're no longer a nightmare. You're now like a spirit. You're a soul now. So we're gonna cross you over too." And then that was another way of saying like he went to hell. So
He's in the Nightmare Stone, but but the Nightmare Stone is giving him a hell.
Yeah.
Right, his hell. But he is in the Nightmare Stone.
He did say that he mentioned that as long as nightmares exist, he will be able to continue existing. Like, so I kind of like that there could be possibly more of Insomnia. He didn't just die or whatever.
Right, and the other thing too that why I enjoyed this issue is because it's okay. It's the dawn of DC, and I mean we can talk about the larger series as a whole now too, because this was really kind of just one big therapy session for all of these heroes and everything, right? I mean they're all dealing with their nightmares, whatever. But it's the dawn of DC, and they all come out of their nightmares on the other side, so they've all kind of, for lack of a better term, defeated their nightmares. But there's a very clear statement in here that the general public now sees terror in all of these heroes. And so that's something that's going to play out across the DC universe, I think.
And of course,
That
Amanda Waller loves it.
Yeah, that I was saying ties in directly with what Amanda Waller is about to do because she's about to, fight every known hero that exists on Earth Prime or whatever. So I mean, the media and all that's already there, kind of thing.
Mhm.
I kind
I
of
want I want to touch base on a couple of the endings of the nightmares because most of them, or almost all of them, said Nights In or to be continued in the Beast World event. But there was one that said to be
Harley.
continued. Yep, in Final Crisis. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Well,
Yeah,
we
me and
kind
Paul
of
were
talked about that.
perplexed by this too.
Yeah, we were too. And the only thing I think of is that Harley is in a series right now. I think it's still going on. Harley
It
Quinn versus the
finished.
multiverse.
Screws the DCU.
Yeah, and maybe that's where it's going to end up in there as kind of her part of her
Well, her,
multiverse thing
Did
well,
going
her
on.
did
I
it
don't know.
issues,
really? Did we really
her
say it would continued in Final Crisis or another type of crisis?
It
Final
said Final
Crisis.
Crisis.
Final
Yeah.
Why
Crisis.
would they reuse that name and it hasn't
Okay,
been seen
well,
two decades?
okay, it goes back to what because in her main series, Harley Quinn, and in her side story, Harley Quinn screws the DCU. She's been flip flopping around through multiple timelines, blah blah blah. But it's all because of one person. And that nightmare at the end of it, I forget that person's name. She calls her something weird. It looks like a Harley, but like a holy version of Harley. But like whoever that girl is, she's the reason Harley's been flipping through different multiverses, including in her solo series, the mini series, and now the Nightmares. I kind of like that all that was connected, but I don't know what that means. Like, are they going to keep flipping her through multiverses? Like, I don't know.
I mean, they could. I just think it's. I mean, if it's gonna be a Harley thing and a Harley style Final Crisis, it's fine. If they're gonna use Harley's wild multiverse misadventures to lead us into a Final Crisis revamp, I'm gonna go right back to holding my head.
There's not a Final Crisis revamp on the horizon.
No, I don't think so. It wouldn't make any sense. Now I could see her
The
doing
reason
that in her, like
I'm still
her
processing.
series.
I'm processing all of this. I'm processing Doctor Hate. I mean, like,
Hey, we haven't got there yet. We haven't got there yet.
I'll keep it down. I'll keep it down. I can't.
I'm excited for Doctor Hate. I'm excited for it in the Helmet of
Yeah,
Hate.
did y'all
And
read the current Justice Society of America issue that dropped this week? I feel like with what we saw in there, this Dr. Hate can have ramifications for what's going on there. Because with the Justice Society, we're now in the second arc of that, and we're past like the introductory
Megatron.
stage, and they're bringing them into the current events and spreading out the characters and the lost children into the DCU. And Salem was like the lost apprentice of Kent Nelson, and she's dealing with where is Kent Nelson? What do you mean he's dead? What do you mean there's been all these other Dr. Fates? This isn't right. And now you have this Dr. Hate character, and you have Khalid who's not polished in his powers. It gives credence to a potential story there, That's what I saw this as soon as I saw like Red Justice Society. I'm like, yo, are they gearing up Salem to have some kind of connection with this new Dr. Hate character story kind of thing? Or
I was also
Doctor
wondering with
Chicken
Justice
Doctor
League
Hate.
Dark.
Yeah, exactly. Justice League Dark is something that could come along, but it mentioned Beast World at the end of this issue.
Yeah,
Doctor Hate is supposed to play an important part in the Beast World, especially there's one issue that's Beast World Waller Rising is the issue, and Doctor Hate is supposed to play an important part of that, and it's supposed to have to do with all the parliaments as well. The rot, the green, the red, all those good things. So yeah,
I'm
TM, you'll be
pumped
happy
for
about that.
that, man. I'm
Yeah,
pumped for that.
right. So it's supposed to have all those things. But before we get to that, okay, next question for you folks is, I'm assuming that you read at least one, if not more than one, of the side 2-issue miniseries. So if you had to pick, what was your favorite and what was your least favorite of those side 2-issue series, what would they be?
I bet we all agree on least favorite, but what I want to hear some favorites.
So I'll go. Mine was Green Lantern.
Green Lantern was
Not
good.
surprisingly.
Green Lantern was
Uh,
gorgeous.
Nightmare wise, I don't know. I like Detective Comics. I think that,
There it
I mean,
is.
Yes, there it is. That's
There
the
it
one.
is.
That's
mean,
the
go-
one.
gorgeous story wise, the explanation on what was going on. Like,
The fact that it was a true
Genuinely
nightmare, it felt like
creepy.
you felt like you were watching a Hellraiser movie. It stood on its own merits, but it tied into like what was happening. Like they didn't try to tie it into the events and then not do anything with it. Like all these people like Black Adam and all these Superman, they had these nightmare versions of themselves that didn't do anything in the finale other than, hey, look, they're here, but then you don't do anything with them. But with Gordon, they didn't try to do all that. They just showed you what it was like for him in a nightmare, and they told a story that could have just been a random what if story. Without Night Terrors, that book could have existed on its own as a what if
oh yeah,
and been
right.
perfect.
And I will agree two things. I will agree that I think Detective Comics was the prettiest. Ricardo Federici, not
Yeah.
oh
Gotham
yeah.
War. But if you're reading the Gotham War, the nightmare as part of Detective Comics comes up again with Batman. And okay, you know what? I'm getting a little bit old for
Getting
this type of
old.
a thing.
Yes. Yeah.
It brings up a valid point on
That was
both ends.
Barbara's nightmare.
Yeah, because remember, I mean, that was touch base on the Joker solo series when we found out that well, yeah, but I know, but we also found out that Jim Gordon wasn't as old as he's supposed to be. That he was aging himself to look. Well, now he is starting to age because
Yeah, I
in the
thought that was a
nightmare.
cool twist too, because we're following Gordon through all this, and you're like, yeah, this is obviously Gordon's nightmare. This little sidekick died, blah blah. But it turns out it's Bab's nightmare. She's the one that's afraid
Yeah,
that Batman's too old, that Gordon's too old, that she needs to do more to try to make sure to see. I'm like, yo, what a great turn!
yeah,
What a
it was
great
good.
turn!
One thing I want to add, because I am not sure of, I did not read the Punchline issues.
Mm.
Does anybody read the Punchline issues?
I
Yep.
did.
Is she dealing with Nightmare Babs? Because Babs did the ritual for knowledge, and then she turned into some Dark Oracle thing. Did that Dark Oracle thing torment Punchline?
So what's funny
No.
is if just for example, if Punchline is dealing with a nightmare version of Barbara Gordon and Nightwing's dealing with one, it's not Barbara. The real
Yeah.
Barbara was in Detective Comics. These are just nightmare visions attacking her. These are nightmares
But I would have enjoyed if there was a tie-in between Barbara and Punchline.
So we thought there was going to be between Punchline Barbara and Nightwing Barbara because they looked identical. Because what it is Punchline Nightmare was really cool. And that first issue of Punchline was probably the single best written book out of this whole thing. Like it shocked me how good that one issue was. And her whole thing was like she kills Batgirl. Like that's her thing. That's her dream is to kill Batgirl. And then she starts processing what that means post.
Does anybody know why she wanted to kill Batgirl? Come on.
That's her nemesis, I guess. Like
Batgirl was the first one she ran into, and she was the first Bat family member that tried stopping her. She was the first one. Harley was the second one, and Harley got the slice on her.
Got sliced like in a second, dude.
Yeah.
Talking about Hell Arisen, I forgot Batgirl.
And Harley's like, "You're literally me. You're the new me. Don't do this. The Joker's not worth it." Oh, I get cut in the neck. Okay, I see how this is.
The punchline was solid. The second issue, it kind of like leaned into what I guess like is more the theme of that book and kind of like the target audience for the punchline stuff because it was just getting really meta with social media. Like you're bouncing around like a certain command buttons that mean something in like the Discord world.
But I thought that was like I thought that was like primo content, right? Because Barbara, who has been Oracle, right? And that's back in our accessible continuity. So Barbara turning into this, internet nightmare thing, and Punchline, who is like social media is her jam, right? I was like, this is a great way to have this bizarre, twisted interaction with them. And why wouldn't Barbara be Nightmare Barbara when she actually played into that whole
how they
That whole
played it
thing.
was like, she's Oracle. So this all takes place in the Watchtower. She goes in there with
Mhm.
her Oracle tech that like pretty much just becomes like a Barbara, a mechanical Oracle tech, like computers in her and stuff like that. But then they have like a digital fight kind of thing, and just to get to the delete key, and it was fun. I think that they would give who is it Bruno Redondo, whoever that's doing Nightwing, like that
Yeah,
Yep.
second
they're similar.
issue of Punchline would give his books a run for their money with the creativity of layout and use of panel being like a more than just a 2D like arena to deal with, because they did some really fun stuff with it in that aspect. But
I
yeah, it
kind of
was,
want to
it was okay.
point out the ones that are different. The like I know there was one that you didn't like so much. You didn't hate it, but I know Paul liked it, but I know you didn't like it so much. But that was the Titans issue. And like when we finally got to the end of that one, I kind of liked it because it was completely different. It was a buildings nightmare that they were going through. So like
And the fact that it was on the old prison and everything, so it had
prison,
the
Yeah.
yeah, and touch
you know,
base right
right.
before we got to Future State when them acquiring Titans Tower, because that was a little bit of Future State right before then was the whole prison thing. But like so I kind of like that one. It wasn't like the greatest issue ever, but I like the concept that we were actually seeing like a buildings nightmare and not just a superhero or a supervillain. But another thing was some of the heroes or villains that were uh, they physically woke themselves up out of the nightmare, whether they were like that powerful and they just busted through it, or they end up killing themselves. Like for instance, Punchline, she ended up waking up herself. Like there were some that stayed in the dream, and there were some that actually woke up. I kind of like that. Like and it was kind of like while reading it, I was trying to guess who was going to be the ones that were actually going to physically like once they started waking up after the first round or whatever with Green Lantern. At that point, I was like, okay, who's going to wake up after this? And I was kind of surprised to see who didn't and who did, and I don't know, that was kind of fun.
Team, what was a hit for you?
I didn't read any of those one shots. I was like, it's like I don't have to. I'm not gonna read them. I don't see
Yeah,
the
they
point.
definitely weren't. They weren't needed.
Right.
No,
But I am going. I'm definitely going to be going back and reading some of them, like ones that people like high praise, like Detective Comics. I'm definitely going to go check out now. But I was just like, yeah, no, I'll just skip these for now.
There were some of the to the point of them waking up and stuff. There were some real hardcore inconsistencies to that as well. Like you look at Flash,
yeah,
Wally pulled him out of it. Who the hell woke Wally and all of them
Wally
up? You
up.
look at Ravager, Peacekeeper One woke her up, but why is he awake? He's not a robot. He has like mechanical enhancements on his body, so that didn't
That
make
was like
any sense.
that was like Raven's whole explanation on like, and then you find out she wasn't really awake. Like,
She was. The blood came through.
yeah.
That was the
But
first sign of the nightmares coming through the dreams. Was Ravager's finale, which will be continued in Stormwatch.
oh no, not Ravenger. I said Ravenger. Raven, Raven with the tower.
Oh, okay.
Because originally she was the one that woke him up, and then you find out at the end that it was the tower or whatever. No, but I do agree. There was some inconsistencies and stuff, but some of them were kind of unique. Most of them ended
One
with
of the things I thought was cool is how they contributed the whole thing of people being put to sleep to a noise. It was a sound that put him to sleep and
yeah,
everything, which I thought was interesting because if you're reading Superman, you know that his ears were damaged by Silver Banshee, weakening his
hearing.
defenses to something like this, which I thought was kind of cool.
There is
This happened
something
to also be written
else.
by Joshua Williamson, so it kind of he planted that
Mhm.
with
But real
fans.
quick, can
Sorry.
we all unanimously agree? Because in all of this talk, no one's even brought up the elephant in the room, and that was the dumpster fire that Tim Seeley brought us called Angel Breaker.
Haha, see, I wanted to bring that up. I actually liked Angel Breaker, and she was a new character for me. But the reason I liked Angel Breaker was it was one of the few that actually touched base on a horror element. There were
Yeah,
parts of the book that were suspenseful, like especially the first issue was kind of blah, but the
until
second
the
issue
end when the
when
what
the
was it like?
thing
It's like a
started grabbing.
Japanese like nursery rhyme kind of
I
horror
couldn't even
story,
remember the damn like it's supposed to be a Greek
like a Baba
mythology, like
Yaga
Baba
kind of
Yaga.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I had never heard of it. I think it was something made up, but I'm not. Don't quote me on that. It could be something real, but
See,
I
that's
mean,
when we touched on that too, where that in itself was cool, that it was a true horror
mhm.
element that they brought into it. But Tim Seeley was doing spending too much time polishing Joshua Williamson off for whatever reason. Like, I don't understand what he was doing. He was just spending so much time doing a story that's a callback to the Shadow War from 2 years ago, that little 5-issue crisscross between Batman,
Yeah, see,
Robin,
I
and
didn't read
Deathstroke. None of that needed to happen. Like, get into the nightmare. We spent an entire issue not getting into a nightmare.
yeah, because they weren't even asleep or anything. Okay, so
No, they were just
that's
running. They were running a mission that, like,
yeah.
why?
Okay, so that's another thing. Well, that's why I think that was so important because of the stone that they found at the end. It's never talked about in the whole rest of the thing, but its
That's
whole
what I mean.
ability was.
He's playing with an old event with old stuff from Deathstroke Inc. that's not even happening anymore.
I want to
So
say that
you know
that
who wrote
has
all that? That was Williamson that wrote all that. So I think
yeah
he's
yeah.
just trying to kiss Williamson's butt for the whole book, like
I
the
want to
behind
I
the
want to
scenes.
say it felt like that we could see something from that. Maybe not Angel Breaker or Raptor or any of them, but like the
What was
stone
his name? Raptor?
specifically. Was that his name? What was his name? I thought it was.
Who wouldn't
Was it
know,
Raptor?
man?
I thought his name was Raptor.
The Bronze Raptor, because that's what he looked like. Bronze Tiger, not
I don't know
Raptor.
who the hell he was. Angel Breaker, she was all right. There was a lot of like, I didn't understand her powers. She was just able to do whatever the hell she wanted when she wanted to do. I mean, I don't know. No, I will give it that that specific read was a little more like suspenseful. It had, some kind of creepy moments. The actual Night Terrors, the main run, like issue 2 and 3, that whole Red Tornado thing with, when the whole Justice League went dark, or
Yep.
no, they were in the Mister Terrific's place or whatever.
Yep.
But all that went dark or whatever, and then Red Tornado was still talking, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't see nobody," and then his face was right there with that person. Whole I was like, "Hell yeah!" Yeah, so I got to give it credit for that. It actually, like, I mean, it could have. I mean, most comics they use horror as like a gimmick, and they never touch base with suspense, or you never get that feeling. I'd say
What
there
was
was a
the
couple
weakest one
times.
for you then?
I want to say Nightwing.
Yeah,
Nightwing was more like fun, but I would like as far as like it pertaining to the whole series. What I want to say maybe Nightwing and Robin's or the Robin one with Tim Drake, and I mean it wasn't a bad read or anything, but it was like I mean from everything else we got, it was like okay, that's it.
Yeah, I feel
I
like it didn't
want
really stand out and it drug out.
I want to put Power Girl in the same list, even though I like the Action Family one with the Hank Henshaw stuff. But the Power Girl one it was honestly the same thing that y'all were talking about before. It was just her like, stuck in some kind of simulation, which I never understood what the hell was going on. She was supposed to be still stuck in her Kryptonian ship, I'm assuming, and she never left, and that's where she was restarting to. But no, that one kind of and it was like her like why was her girlfriend like why was that her nightmare that her girlfriend was just gonna like try and beat the hell out of her or
She suffers tremendously from like loss.
mm,
Like everything she cares about, she loses her world, her other world. Like everything. So like she has this person that she's confiding in. So I guess the idea of the person that's closest to you being like,
okay, I could do that.
that is the whole like, and they touched on that specifically in the scenes where they were like on the stage and it looked like they were on like a little auditorium stage.
Yeah.
They touched on that in that scene why that was like being presented like that. Like she loses. Power Girl's whole thing is she's the toughest victim you'll ever meet. She just suffers through it.
Okay, let's talk about Brother John's comment here. One event a year for me. I just like regular books consistently for a bit. Were you put off? Were you upset by the fact that your books disappeared for 2 months?
I'm waiting on it because I know y'all two were mad at this. I know a lot of fans. I know a lot of fans were. I was not. I was looking forward to this event, but it's the whole like name, the horror element. I mean, that's my whole shebang. So I was excited just because of that. What I can tell you, I'm not excited of is what Brother John and Cliff and some other people mentioned. I mean, how many events have we had this year already? I mean, technically, it's like 2 big events, and then we've had like a whole bunch of these like mini events and shit. It's like
Well, crossovers be crossovers. That's always.
yeah, they're like mini, yeah. And that's
I,
like
I
Beast
would
Wars.
have rather I would have rather like been towards like maybe like in October give us a little bit more time with the books that just recently came out, like because we just got Hawkgirl, 2 issues of Hawkgirl, and then it ended, and then it like stopped for a little bit. A couple of issues of Titans, and it stopped for a bit. So like I would have rathered it like had a little bit more of Dawn of DC before we got to Night Terrors, but that's just me. Since it didn't really,
Yeah, that was my.
I don't know if it's gonna be. I don't see how it's going to affect anything. Like it is. It hasn't really been mentioned in. Like I don't think it was mentioned really in JSA.
No.
Nothing in JSA. Nothing in any of the new books that have recently come out either, like Blue Beetle or Fire and Ice, and any of that. So I don't see any reason why they couldn't have just pushed this.
It was
The
mentioned in Batman.
only book that really kind of segued into it, I think, was Green Lantern. All the other books, it was kind of, we'll get back to you in 2 months type of a thing, almost. But Green Lantern kind of did, and it put him right back to where he was at the end of the second thing. But I
JSA
think
doesn't mention Night Terrors, but JSA does mention the Gotham War kicking off. Mom and Dad are fighting again.
Right.
Yeah, it does say that.
But I also think that these kind of things, besides the fact that it stops the momentum, is I think that they do serve a purpose for DC Comics. I mean, none of the regular artists were on any of the Night Terrors 2 issue miniseries, so it gives the artists a chance to hopefully get ahead of themselves to be able to say when they do come back, hopefully there won't be. I mean, we were talking about JSA before, and it's like, it's been gone for 4 months, and now when it comes back, it doesn't even have the regular artist on it anymore. It's got a whole different artist on it this time. So
one thing to
you
the
speak
point,
a lot of truth.
one of my biggest contentions was that this is ruining the momentum of the Dawn of DC. Why are you introducing us to these stories and then making us wait to get back to them? I mean, we'll have content. Our books are coming out, but you're interrupting the story.
Right.
And then I get into it, and we're about what, Paul, like halfway through when we got through like the number ones of the tie-in books. We're like, wait a minute, I see what they're doing here. This was ridiculously handcrafted event and intentionally placed here after these issue 2s, because what most of these were was an explanation and a breakdown via a story event of who these characters are. The Dawn of DC is a huge jumping on point for so many readers, for so many people trying a character out for the first time or for the first time in a long time. Look at the Hal Jordan #1 for Green Lantern. It literally went down his laundry list of who he is, the key events in the history of that character, his wins and his losses. They did that for the Flash, also introducing the Flash family and all this. Punchline, you get an idea of who she is. We learned that Batgirl's her biggest enemy, and she's a social media guru. Like, they literally explain through this story who every one of these main players in the DC universe is right now. So you're not just buying a book and having to, I guess I'll just get in where I fit in and just read till they make sense. Like, if you jumped on Dawn of DC and read through Night Terrors, you know very well who all of these people are and a lot about them.
But Paul does speak truth, and I'm assuming he was just guessing, but I did watch an interview with Jeremy Adams and some other, but they were talking about how this is giving them that break to pump out more issues coming into this. Like they were talking about, because they only had like, I think 4 or 5 issues, and specifically they were talking about Doom Patrol and something else, but they only had the story so far because everything's set in these 4 to 6, mini series type of thing. So now that they are at a success, kind of level in these books, it gives these writers and artists times to get, more, pump more issues out and stuff like that.
Well, I wonder if we can be expecting to hear some extensions coming up in the next couple of weeks, because Green Arrow got its extension the day it released. Like, we're pushing it to 12. Like, where's our extension on the other? We know Green Lantern's ongoing. That was released as ongoing. Flash is ongoing. But I wonder if some of these other things are going to hit.
They make me wait for my Green Arrow. Like I just
That I can say is kind of because we didn't, even though a lot of books did pause, not all of them were a part of Night Terrors. Like he brings up Green
Right.
Arrow. Green Arrow is not a part of this at all. Mentioned, brought up anywhere. He's asleep on some other planet. Who knows?
Yeah, they could have yeah, that's a good point. He's not even on Earth. That's probably why.
And Superboy, same thing. But wasn't Superboy
Right.
there? Wasn't he the one that gets?
Connor was definitely there.
Because he was the first one that gets
But
taken.
Connor is on Earth. The Superboy Man of Tomorrow is the winner of the round robin thing. And though it's under the Dawn of DC banner, like actual continuity Connor is in Action Comics. That's where you can see where Connor is real time. Like that Superboy Man of Tomorrow, insert it in any little gap between
Oh, it's
issues
just
you want to.
okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
gotcha.
happening between the issues.
I thought that was continuity.
It is,
Yeah,
but it's
and,
between the issues. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I got you.
and TM, you must have been happy to see Oliver Queen in Birds of Prey then, right? So everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, that is true.
All right, so let me ask y'all a question. How would you rate this villain? First time, getting this brand new villain. How did he do in a standalone event?
about a 6.
Yeah, I was
For
going to
me,
say. Go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, the biggest draw for him was the mystery surrounding him, the ties to the Golden Age characters, because I'm a sucker for that stuff. And then once you get the reveal, he's kind of a chode. Like he's Hank Henshaw, you blame the superheroes for your like
Yeah, he's crying.
it's the whole thing of like the guy on the roof during a flood and a guy in a boat comes by and says, "Hey, you need help?" No, the Lord will provide. And then when he drowns and goes to heaven, he's like, "God, why didn't you help me?" And God says, "What are you talking about? It's in a boat."
He is definitely a one trick pony, but like the damage that he did is it's huge. It's huge. It's gonna cause issues definitely for any hero in the modern world going forth. But he is a one trick pony. I don't think he could ever become another villain. I think I don't see him ever returning.
Yeah, I don't either, but I will also say that I think he has the most graphic origin that I have seen in comics in a long
Oh yeah.
time.
Yeah, that's
Where,
pretty good.
where he cuts off his eyelids.
Yeah.
Whose origin are we talking about?
Insomnia is when it's going through like all of like their self-help meetings where he crashes the coffee pot and kills the guy and rips his own eyelids out, and the violence in the asylum itself when they're trying to stabilize him. Like there's a lot of bodies on the way from the death of his family to the Lazarus effect.
I think we could see Insomnia again.
I do too.
And I feel like the only way that he's going to be, I think maybe by mention, but I don't see him being like a very big threat.
This is a Justice League Dark character now. This is a Justice League Dark villain down the road.
But another thing,
the Wonder Woman issue, it was Constantine in the Justice League Dark when they were exploring the nightmare. That Constantine specifically says, "This place is real. I've heard of it. I just thought it was a myth." So like they're the ones that are equipped for this guy. They're the ones that they're like it just matches their stuff. I can see him popping up in something like that.
Right. I never see him being a crossover event threat.
Like another event? No.
Yeah, but Justice League Dark, of course. Justice League Dark is great.
I want to say,
I can't complain about it. Look at that.
I want to say it's
first appearance of Justice League Dark.
I want to say I think it's tied into this is like the third story point that they've gone to hell recently, and the fact that he was dragged down to hell. I think we're going to see him maybe not in a grand event or anything like that. Maybe in the background of an event. I mean, who knows?
A Bloodwind villain.
I was going to say so. Maybe Bloodwind and Insomnia will end up fighting each other, right?
I am insistent that Insomnia is not in the actual hell.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
He's in the Dreamstone.
Right. He's in the Nightmare Stone, and it's torturing him. But someone will want to use its power again, right? And his influence will be there. So I'm like, it's not like we'll never see him again.
I mean, there's a lot of because we know Ron V sitting on that Justice League story. We're currently in DC continuity right now. The Justice League Dark, in Dark Crisis, your favorite book that you remember so well, the Justice League Dark team was first seen sitting in their quarters under the Hall of Justice, licking their wounds.
Yeah,
from the
after
battle
fighting
they
Merlin.
lost against Merlin. Merlin is still actively at his own
Yeah, we
leisure
don't even know. Yeah,
swooshing his way through the DC universe, killing magic right now. He's
Yeah.
still doing that.
I
And
love
now
how we've got Merlin in Marvel and DC, mucking around.
This is genius. but you got to think, like now you have the Nightmare Zone introduced, you have the House of Horrors introduced, you have this whole
Yeah.
new magic-based realm introduced.
Doctor.
You have
The-
Justice
the-
League
the
Dark
Hollow.
back and active
The
again.
Hollow.
Yeah, the Hollow.
The Hollow is what that realm is called. So like you've introduced so many cool magic concepts, and we're still sitting on a Justice League Dark event waiting to be
Yeah.
released. Whether
Well, I
because
feel
Ron
this
Reed
Beast
or
thing
whatever.
might be right up their alley.
It's coming.
And
think
Ron V is
Merlin is
exclusive to DC now.
Right, exactly. I was just gonna say the same thing. Romby exclusive. They gotta give him an ongoing Justice League Dark.
And how many points in this event and all those other points led to a magic, bro, I got Justice League Dark throughout like all this, like so many different, I kind of have a feeling that was the whole setup of this, that I mean, they're finally trying to bring them back, and it's time. Like, I don't know
It's
why
kind
they
of just like what we've been doing with Waller. You know what I mean? They did the big
Yeah.
setup, and then they just keep seeding. They keep reminding us as the readers, like, don't forget, that's still a thing. That's still a thing. Because people,
it's
I don't
coming.
know how people forgot about this Amanda Waller thing. They've been building this event for 2 years.
Oh, I love this
Well,
shit.
because they're just seeding it, and it
Yeah.
only Brian. They keep seeding it, and if you're not a big Suicide Squad person,
Yeah,
you're not
next-
keeping track of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know you are. You got all those Suicide Squad keys. I saw.
I love
I
the
saw the
squad, man.
video. But I like them, but I'm not crazy about it. So for me, yes, the Earth 3 crossover I was interested in, but mostly because Superboy and Match were involved. So that's why I was in
Matt
it.
was great, wasn't he?
And that was cool. So I was like, oh, okay, Amanda Waller got a win here. I get it. And then
She don't never lose.
well,
That's her superpower.
I don't know about that. She's gonna get hers.
Rom V also did a pretty good Swamp Thing series not too long ago too, right?
Amazing.
And so now,
Not even pretty good. Amazing.
and we have the Rot and the Doctor Hate with that Justice League Dark. You get Justice League Dark and Swamp Thing together for Rom V. It's like just print money.
Mhm. Yeah, they've been building up the supernatural arm of DC like quietly, but doing big things with it. There's got to be something on the horizon.
And you could introduce a new team too, like Constantine. You could
Bring back
Salem.
the Shadow Pact, by the
Maybe
way. I love
You
that.
can even add Salem from the Justice Society into the Justice League Dark. So
Maybe they'll even go totally
Yes.
crazy and just let Zatanna talk great too. Who knows?
You saw it, but you also saw like to that
Final.
point. You see what they're doing. Where's the JSA going right now? Who are they going after to go get? Effing Solomon Grundy.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
oh yeah, that was the
They're on their
ending.
way.
Yeah.
They're on their way to Slaughter Swamp right now. Like it's the swamp.
I'm really, it's so funny when it comes to them. I'm more interested in what Prodegaton has in store for them.
But Dagatani got nothing in the tank right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean
Yeah.
but again, he exists in multiple points in time, so there could be a version of him that's like, oh no, I don't like what happened here at all.
It could be.
Time to course
He's kind of like King.
He has a
He is.
he has a Huntress blind spot though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's really interesting, and I do enjoy that.
I want to say I
oh my
agree.
God, you like Shadow Pact too? Thank you.
I want to say I agree with Mark. He's like Insomnia wasn't the greatest. I mean, for this event, I thought he worked. I thought it was great and everything. I think the setup at the end of this book was more, was like the best thing for me.
Yes, what's up, bro?
Online disease propaganda. There is no DC propaganda. Okay, not in this house.
What, we can't enjoy different things? I'm like,
No,
I'm
no.
over on other channels preaching my love of Fall of X right now.
Oh, dude, that's Chris's jam. Yeah,
Right? You just said the magic word.
you
X.
redeemed yourself that quick with him.
Talk about a villain that's going to go far though. with a name like this, you cannot. It's you can always win with this name, and it's Doctor Hate. Doctor Hate is the best name ever. Don't you agree, Cliff?
What? No. As soon as I saw Dr. Hate, I was like, coming soon from Access Comics, Dr. Hate Monger versus the JL Avengers.
Versus Spider Widow.
Right.
I like how it's playing on fate, hate.
I'm gonna say I liked his name, but to me, it kind of came off like 90s ish.
Wasn't it a
Like,
girl?
what?
Dr.
Dr.
Hate.
Hate?
That's
don't-
going to
I
be
don't-
the big thing now is who.
All we
what's
got
the real
was the
identity?
clues.
What's the real identity of Doctor Hate? Right. That's going to be
Yeah,
clues.
your family will be so upset.
I want to say John
that doesn't
Dean,
narrow it
man.
down.
That was the clue right there, the family. So it has to be somebody that's like heavily tied in family. I'm thinking like Shazamily, maybe? Shazam.
I'm thinking Insomnia.
It's Captain Marvel. You're
No,
thinking
not
Insomnia.
Captain Marvel.
I'm thinking it's John
Freddy.
D.
It's
Because
Freddy.
You know
look,
what?
they
Freddie
use
is way too
use
young,
the-
and
they
Freddie
use
would
the
never
Nightmare
fall for
Stone.
this.
We know that Insomnia is in the Nightmare Stone, and then they touch it to the helmet, and then when it forms Doctor Hate, you look at the eyes. It's got like the red eyes, and it's going up
Could
the
be.
helmet instead
Okay.
of off the
I know,
side.
but there's hands coming out for the helmet and
He's-
stuff in the shadows.
He's going to appear in Waller Rising, which is going to deal with the rot and the green and all those things, right? How about TM? Could it possibly be Buddy Baker?
No.
No Animal Man, huh?
Not to be the villain though, but like
Yeah. What about her cousin? You know, the cousin that she's been grooming to be bigger, badder, stronger. You know, she set up on Earth 3. She shows up at the end of Dark Crisis. She has that one-shot story in Lazarus Planet where you see her go to her cousin or whoever, I forget his name, Deadeye. What if it's Deadeye?
It could be.
Because remember how she's keeping him close by and everything to make sure that he's juiced up and everything and ready for the oncoming battle. And she puts him to the test and makes him fight all these different stuff in that Lazarus Planet shot.
I mean, it could be
But isn't
anybody.
the
Somebody
other
with green
wolf-
eyes.
Isn't the other guy talking to her in that scene? Isn't that Deadeye?
No, because I just went and looked. That's I don't know who that is. This guy.
I think he's supposed to be Deadeye.
He becomes
That's
Doctor Hate.
Bright. Bright. I don't know. I didn't know.
That's
Okay,
Dr. Hate
that's
before Doctor
no.
Hate.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
the
think
guy
that's
in the
Dr.
dark,
Hate.
the
There's
guy
a-
in the
there's
shadow
another-
is Dr. Hate.
there's another
this
person
is,
there.
This is not Doctor Hate. This is the person
is
holding
Bright.
the stone who gives
Oh,
it
it's
to
Bright.
another
Oh,
person.
okay,
in
you're
this
right. Yeah,
movie.
you're right. No, you're right. Yep.
That's who I was gonna ask. Who the hell is Bright? Like,
Right.
I mean, it's somebody with Waller, but I don't. As far as I remember it, I don't remember.
Like what we
Bright.
know of Waller's team right now is it's Earth 3 versions of characters.
Yeah.
You know, you have
Right.
So it
like,
might have been somebody we haven't
like
seen
fusion.
yet.
She has her own fusion. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
She has her own
that's nuts.
firestorm. She has her own
Yeah.
firestorm.
So whoever Bright is an Earth 3 version of somebody. I just can't tell.
Nah, that kind of threw me off when they were like Bright coming. I was like, who the hell is Bright? I thought maybe I was missing something because that was like Angel Breaker. I didn't know who she was. I missed that whole like, her like swords.
Angel Breaker at least had two pretty good issues
I like Angel.
in all this. Yeah, because I was like, what is this? And I was like, well, I might as well get it. It's a first appearance, could be a key.
So okay, there was a bunch of characters that looked like they made it outside of the event, right? Some of the nightmares. Anybody want to talk on that? Because we already kind of saw like the Batman ones, the I don't know how you say that. But we got from Ravager, we got the Blood Dude, right? The Blood Dude made it out because we saw the blood in the real world and it was moving like venom.
Right. That's supposed to show up in like you said, the Brave and the Bold, right? Hey, Trev.
Trev, I DM'd you about your book.
Detective Comics, we had like the gods or whatever that made it out.
I want to see those Lords of Chaos. That felt like so like H.P. Lovecraft to me.
That whole story, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
Like when you
right,
got-
because they really want to destroy everything, and everyone's like, and people are going to them like, oh, well, we want stuff, and it's like,
You can have it.
You
I
can
want
have
money.
it.
And she starts throwing up diamonds that are cutting her insides to pieces. Like, yo, this is
Yeah.
amazing. This is Wishmaster.
Yeah, the
It's
guy
like, oh,
wished
you
for
wanted
power.
wealth?
He became like a mechanized Batman. And I love the callback to New 52 that they actually, you know, there was the dude that made that specific Batman suit that Gordon wore during, you know, that time or whatever.
No,
I thought,
that was so great. And the way it talked to him and was like, you know, like you look like you kind of look like this once upon a time too. And it's like, oh God.
I
By the
thought
way,
it was
if you're gonna punish someone with wealth, right? What would you choose to punish them with? Because I wouldn't choose diamonds. Diamonds have value that like is a man-made forced value that we put on them, you know? Like, but like I could have done so. I may have made a choke on oil.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you want wealth? It's like,
I think just diamonds is easy to represent.
no, it is, and it looks great. But I just like, I also feel like I would have gone if I was gonna go dark. I would have gone darker. And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna choke on oil. Oil is
Think
worth
about it,
everything.
gold, you know, could have been really dark, just her spitting out like gold bars or whatever. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it would have been so interesting to like visually see, like her just spitting out gold bars. I think when you came across and saw her spitting out all the diamonds, I think that was one of the coolest moments. I was like, oh, what the hell is going on here?
It was up there. What did Waller want?
Everything.
Did she want everything? Is that what it was?
Yes. She wants to kill the Justice League. She wants to kill all the superheroes. Not specifically Justice League, but all the heroes. Remember in DC Primer, she had like a physical list of some of the ones she's already taken out and some of the ones that she's got plans. Because that basically at the end of this, that's what we got. That she's already enacted phase one. It was successful because that's basically how she had the helmet of hate or whatever. You know,
Right.
I want the explanation on that. Somebody remind me what that is. What's
The
that helmet? Where did that come
Helmet of Hate.
So
It,
Is
the
that the
it, it
Dr.
was
shard?
it
Fate
was it was
film,
it was on the Lazarus planet. It was on the Lazarus Island, and it got
Batman donned it when he fought the demon Nazar. The helmet
That's
got
right.
shattered, and in the DC Primer, they were running an op with Peacemaker and Peace Wrecker to go get a shard of whatever
It was the
remained of
shard.
it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
and it
That's
was
why I tell
infected
everybody it's
with the
very
Lazarus
important
rain.
to read the DC Primer because like
Dude,
it
that was so
was
good.
Yeah.
it was free for one, and it's definitely setting up what's to come.
A bunch of stuff.
In numerous different angles. Yeah,
Yeah.
Waller was so badass in that too.
Yeah.
No, my dude thought he was going to step to her.
Yeah,
She's the bad guy Batman. Like the whole time of the superpower, that's Waller.
We
Yeah.
thought she was losing her edge, but she wasn't. She was on top of everything.
Everything.
It's like no.
Yeah, I mean, you know. I mean, it's good storytelling, right? But anybody I write would have no tolerance for her. It's
Well,
like,
that's what's
oh,
so
you're
good about her.
manipulating me. Oh no.
She's a good villain because like she's so frustrating. She wins. She's unlikable, and she's a villain. She's supposed to be those things. I feel like I get the proper emotional response out of her parts in books when I'm not cheering because like the squatting. Yo, if she's here, Rick Flag ain't far behind. He's coming
Right.
for that ass.
Or
That's what's
Peaceman.
going to be the ultimate nail in her coffin through all of this is Rick Flag walking through
Yeah.
a door she for some reason didn't know was there and just over with. Because Rick Flag is the one that's got like he's
He
got
was
his
after.
own little target board with just her on it.
Mm-hmm. He's got his team.
Now see that I like. That I like.
I do too. I'm hashtag team raise the flag.
But you know, my Waller, my true Waller is Justice League Unlimited Waller, right? So like, I'm always like, oh man, now you're just raking her over villain coals. I'm like, I guess this is what we're doing.
No, I think it's cool because this like she's been burned. She's been burned by her own government. Like
Yeah.
all of her actions, the cat's out of the bag. They're like, yo, we didn't know you were doing all of this on your own. Like she's taken that engine, she went 10 miles with it, and the government that's been funding her the whole time has now shut her down and she's running completely on her own for the first time like this. Like, just this is unrestricted, unhinged, off the books, 100% illegal Amanda Waller with nothing to lose.
And right off the bat, she took over her own planet.
Took over a planet. Yes.
I just love that she's like, I sniffed some weakness in the multiverse. Like,
No, she didn't sniff some weakness in the multiverse. She sniffed some weakness in the main Earth Prime. She's got a problem with Earth Prime. All the
no,
other
she
Earths.
does, but
he's talking
getting her
about
base
Earth
on
3.
Earth 3 was about smelling weakness.
Oh yeah. No, she deems all the other ones like.
Yeah, and it didn't take much. All just like, hey, I actually like the way y'all operate.
Yeah.
Have some fun. Yeah,
Earth
I'm
3.
excited for it. Paul, you want to spin this wheel and see what video it's going to be?
Go ahead and do it.
So for those that don't know, this is episode number 17 of the Night Terror DC Deep Dives that we do. So if you commented on any of the videos 1 through 16, that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to spin this wheel, and we're going to see which of those videos we're going to pick the winning comment from. Sorry, it says Legion of Comics. It's just a preset wheel.
Actually, can you do something for me there?
Yeah.
Can you take out 9 through 17? We only did 8, actually, of the Night
dark.
Terror. The other ones were Lazarus Planet and things like that.
Oh, okay. You didn't start it over. Got you.
Yep.
There's 8 episodes in the Night Terror series. So I'm going to shuffle this till Cliff tells me to stop.
Stop.
So if you do not win, it is Cliff's fault. So the winning
Cliff.
comment is you're getting
Damn you, Cliff.
The winning comment is going to be drawn from episode number 6, it looks like.
I got high stakes in this, Cliff.
I believe in you, Mike. I believe in your ability to make the comments.
So what episode is that? If there is how many in this one, Paul? I got to count backwards now. Hold on. 1.
This is
Week 6.
This is week 9, so you got to go back 3 episodes.
So week 14.
You got tricked me with your 9 cents.
All right.
Got me
So
there.
that was the one that had Green Lantern, Flash, number 2,
Right.
Robin, Shazam, and Zatanna, number 2.
As a
And
reminder, here's what we're going to win.
what?
All of Night Terrors.
All of Night Terrors.
It's a short box in itself.
The Dawn of DC, both the foil one as well. All the neon covers as well. So good luck.
You have the
to whoever
misprint
wins
in there too.
Oh, is the misprint in there too?
that. The misprint is not in there now.
That's okay. Everything that matters is there.
I've got the misprint right here.
Oh, there you go.
You bastard.
All right, so I got that in there. Let me share this other one. So the wheel and the comment picker thing is not as fancy as it used to be. It doesn't do like a big spinny thing and all that. Is this on the right one? I think I'm on the DC.
Six.
That's
Yep.
Let me get the comment picker. I've got so many tabs open. Random comment picker. This one. There it is. So I got the URL in there. As soon as I hit this, it's going to immediately pull one. Y'all ready to see who's going to win it all?
Ready.
I'm going to hit it. Fetch. Yeah. Anything goes. Boom.
Anything goes. All right.
Loaded 6 comics, and we're picking a winner.
Chaos and Comics.
Chris!
Get
What
to
Just
see
what you wanted.
Poison Ivy 20 times.
Yes.
wow.
Did I win the full Night Terrors run yet? I'm dying to read
Yes, you did.
both issues of Poison Ivy 20 times.
Congrats, Chris.
Live the dream. Live the dream.
He's like, nah.
That's freaking amazing, man.
That's perfect.
You're just like, did I win my books yet?
Yes, you did, sir. So also, Chris, what we're going to do, because I have this Hitomi book to send you that I finished reading, and I'm going to throw this in there with it. So you have the full run and the error print. There you go.
Dope. Got the whole thing.
There you go. But we're not done yet because
Fantastic.
But wait, there's more.
but wait, there's more. We're also going to give away to somebody in the chat tonight. We're going to give away the Night Terrors proper series, including the 2 bookends, and including the neon, and including the foil, as well as we have a 8.5. This is Justice League of America number 154 from 1978. This is an appearance of Dr. Destiny. Good luck to whoever wins that. What you want to do for that is you want to let me share my screen. Giveaway 2, share. Want to put in hashtag Night Terrors.
And if you're on the
And
panel,
you guys
make sure y'all enter too.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys in the chat.
We're
you can,
allowed to enter? Oh, my.
Yes, please
Yeah.
do. I'm gonna put it in. If I win, I'm gonna price tag it to Chaos.
There you go.
Oh, my God.
I'm just kidding.
You got to read it all, Chris. We want
Yeah.
reviews. We want reviews.
I was gonna say he could regift it. You know, he could use it as a prize himself.
He can read them. He reads a lot.
He does.
He could read them and tell us how much he continues to hate DC.
The
Right.
hell, Mark.
Yeah, Brother John knows what's up.
I'm gonna actually refresh this because it doesn't seem to be getting all the.
Yeah, like I used it for the first time the other night, and it actually was updating like live. I was shocked because I was like, I've never seen it do that.
We got 10 people. We got 10, so everyone is entered, except for we
Mark,
should
you
have
spelled it wrong.
a couple
I know.
more. Night
Night
Terror.
Terror.
Yeah.
Night
Mark's
Terror.
fingers can't help it. That's how they work.
They can't.
Okay, gonna give it just a little bit. There's 11. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and draw it in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Give me my books.
Did I win?
Abracadabra.
Brother
Yeah!
John,
Yeah,
who also won our Dark Crisis one as well.
Go,
Yeah,
Brother
I'm on a
John.
roll.
Congratulations, Brother John.
Did Mark spell-
Brother
no.
John is picking up all of these. So,
Scooping them up.
congratulations, John. Congratulations, Chris. Make sure you
Congrats,
guys
John.
send me. John, I'm pretty sure I have your. Although I may not have your address anymore because I've changed my
Address book.
IG handle since then. So,
Just send it and double check.
so just send me to. You're absolutely right, John. I do love you. So Chaos, make sure you send me your address. It's sector __ 2815 if you don't have it, and Brother John as well. But any last comments? Any last thoughts about Night's End? Night Terrors? Was it worth it? Was it not worth it? What do you think?
All in all, I think it was worth it. I think if we didn't do it, I wouldn't have missed it. But since we did do it, I'm glad we did, kind of thing.
it was pretty good.
I'm gonna say it's one of the better events, in recent years, for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. To different levels, but I enjoyed at least 80% of the night terror, all of the tie-ins, and it's not often you can say that when you get so many that are going on as well. So, and I like I said, I really enjoyed. I'm excited to see what may be next for Deadman. If going forward, I'm confused about Sandman as everybody else was, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll spell it out in his series. And I'm psyched to see what Amanda Waller, what kind of trouble she gets into next. So, what's the next deep dive for you guys, Pops? We should probably be looking. You should hear something on Gotham War probably coming up next
that'll
week.
drop Monday. We'll have multiple chapters of that to dive into.
Right, exactly. And there was there was a panel in Night's End that was. It's like they just took it right out of Night's End and put it right into the Gotham War.
Yeah, Batman in bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's coming up next, and then we'll have Beast World after that. So we got plenty of stuff on the horizon coming up. So, but I want to thank, as always, Mark. I want to thank you, of course. TM, thanks for coming on. Mike, appreciate you coming on, and Cliff as well. Thank you. We will be back next Monday night. Sorry, next Monday morning at 10 o'clock with our regular deep dive. Next week here on this channel at this time, we will have another edition of Guess That Key. We will have
Pause. CBC Award nominated Guess That Key, for those that don't know. Again, thank you to everybody that nominated the best comic book game show on YouTube. Be sure to go to cbcawards.org and vote for this guy right here for hosting such an epic event, and go there and support Brian LCS for putting on such a fun thing for the entire community. And be sure to vote for Sector 2815. Right, Ian?
Some of us already have.
I love that show, but I feel like there's another show that might be in the same category.
Wait, I have controls here. All right, there we go. Team agrees.
Listen, wait, where'd he go?
He agreed so hard.
He agreed himself out of the conversation. I didn't even get to make a comment about going to Canada Friday.
And you know, to be fair, there are lots of nominated people on this panel tonight. So Mark is nominated in at least 4 different categories. Travis, you're nominated in multiple categories. Mike, you're nominated as well. Cliff, are you nominated for anything? I'm not.
Yeah, Council of Comics for comedy.
Yes, there you go.
So we're all nominees.
Yeah, that's
right.
legit. If you had me rolling tonight with the Dark Crisis rants.
Exactly.
Listen, I mean, you don't understand. I do. With the best of the crossovers, and I still even love Infinite Crisis. And then they just got weird and greedy, and I'm sorry guys, but like you want a great crossover Crisis in its name, go to Infinite Crisis, then let's talk and compare notes. You know,
how many times did you cry during that event?
During Infinite Crisis? There's two tiers for me.
Barry returning, like it was just the Golden Age Superman and the main Superman flying into the fight together. Like there's just so many moments where you're just overly emotional. Like, oh my god! You want
to talk about, right? I will say it didn't give me tears, but it gave me the oh my god when it was the 2 Supermen going after Prime. That was amazing, you know. And then when Superman like had to get up when there's kryptonite littered everywhere, red sunlight, and he's like, "It's about taking action!" Bam! And I was just like, "Thank you."
When Lois died and Superman screamed and leveled the entire city, just screaming. The one of the best comic book moments of my life is when Superboy Prime is killing all the Titans, and then just the blur goes by and he's gone, and you've got Jay Garrett, you got Wally West, and you got Bart all sitting there just running him into the Speed Force, and Jay's can't go as fast. He tears his Achilles. He's out. Wally's going so fast that the Speed Force takes him. It's just Bart, and Prime just starts talking shit to him. He's like, "You're not fast enough, kid." And
yeah, he's like, you think so?
Comes around his neck. You ain't alone, kid. Run! And Max Mercury and Barry Allen are there. And they drag his ass in there with him. Like, oh my god. That was like the first time we saw Barry since I'm like, oh my god, that was just
when he pulls off the arm when he's fighting the Titan.
Tiger's arm.
Yeah,
it was her head. I think he just flinched and her head went flying.
No, he ripped off what's his name's arm.
He was like one of the Legion kids, right?
No, it was because it was the JSA, Doom Patrol, and the Titans that all showed up. But he mostly messed up Titans. He popped off Tiger's head. The guy in green, I want to say his name is also Nemesis.
And then he froze the one person.
Yeah. Yo, when freaking Speedy, when she fired the freaking Phantom Zone arrow, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that whole book was insane. I was working at my local comic shop when that was releasing. I can't tell you how like big of a deal that was for comic people.
The Jurgens era, you know, I do love me some of the Jurgens era Titans. There's some great stuff he did, but we don't get the Jurgens era Titans without the Perez and Wolfman Titans, you know. And then of course, and then Jeff Johns went and rinsed and repeated very well though.
Yeah. Yo, when Bart ran through and read the entire library and came out with the yellow suit.
Brother John, I love you. Risk from the Titans got his arm ripped off. I knew it. I knew it was. I couldn't get the name.
Yeah, that was one of the best things ever.
Thank you again, all of you. We appreciate you coming here. We will do another live session somewhere down the road, if not for Gotham War, then for probably Beast World or somewhere again. We will. So again, thank to everybody in the chat. Keep commenting on our videos as we go along. We take all your comments to heart. Let us know if there's something that you want us to read as well. So that's going to be it. Thank you to everybody, and you are now leaving Sector 2815.
It better be DC though. We ain't reading Marvel.